Khalsa.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Welcome to yet another session of Khoj Gurbani. This is Ravinder Singh in Columbus to facilitate the session, and Eileen will be walking us today.
So I'll begin just reading, and I'll explain, I guess, just as I go.
Yeah, follow whatever method
okay.
you want to.
Slok Mehla Mehla Sucha Apoy Suche Batea Ai Suche Age Rakion Koi Na Bitio Jai. Forgive my there's bad pronunciations. Please feel free to correct me.
No, carry on. You're doing well.
Okay, so this the meaning here is it's just describing a pure person who's sitting in a clean place with clean food that's untouched. The next line, Sucha hoy ke jevai laga paran salok. Kuti jai satya.
Yeah, satya.
Satya. Kis ehu laga dok. This one is this line saying that the pure person who eats this pure food and reads scripture has the food leave the body dirty, and so it seems to be asking, who caused this. The next line says, An devta pani, devta besantar, devta lun panjva pai girat. Tahoy pak pavit, papsio tan gadye, tuka paya tit. Tit. And so these lines, I believe, are saying, explaining really the ingredients, the grains and the water and the salt and the oil are pure, and the fire to cook it is pure. But when it's mixed with a person, and I'm not really sure exactly how sin is applies here, but it seems to mean that the person who's carrying the sin, the food is then leaving the body unpure. So the next line says, Jit muk naam na utarahe bin nave ras khahi. Nanak eve jarniya tit muk tuka pahi. So here is saying that the mouth that's not speaking naam is living without the taste of food. Not really completely sure about that line, but that's how I'm understanding it. Nanak knows that this way is like a mouth that's spitting. So I think it's referring to the mouth that's not speaking now. The next line says, Band jame mehla pehla. It says Band jamie, Band nimie, Band manganu viahu. Bandahu hove dost Bandahu chale rahu. So I think this line is saying a woman conceives and gives birth, and women are engaged and married to men. Women are friends walking the path. Next line says Band mua, Band balye, Band hove bandhan. So kyo manda akhe jit jame rajan. And so I think this line is saying that when a woman dies, a man searches for another woman and has a relationship with women. So it's then asking, how can a woman be called bad from where kings are born? The next line, band hi band upje, band baj, what's that last? Baj bajna bajna koi, nanak bande bara ek sacha soy, echo socha soy, sacha soy. So this line, I believe, is saying, even also women are born of women. Humans are only born from women. And Nanak is saying only the true one, is the creator, is not born. The next line says, Jit mukh sada salahye baga ratichar. Nanak te mukh ujle tit sache darbar. Right. So this one is saying the mouth that's always praising is on a lucky and beautiful face. And Nanak says that those mouths are pure and shine in the court of the Creator. The next line, Pauri, Sabko ake apna jis nahi, sol churn kardiye. Kit apo apna ape helekha sandye jarahna nahi nahi et jagta kait garab handye. So yeah, the last couple lines are a little bit I got a little bit lost in these, but I believe it's saying that everyone has their own opinion of themselves, and so a person who's not full of pride is stands alone, and they're rare. So everyone has to account for themselves alone. I think Raval Simji's might have done the translation on the blog, and I believe he was saying also that we have to remain in this world without being proud. So I'm not completely following the whole context, but I think that's the gist of it. And then the last line here says, Munda kisena akhye par akar eho bujye. Murke nal na lujye. And this line is saying we should read the scripture and not call anyone bad. And we should not get into arguments. I guess, and it's a fool's game. So I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. So before I start the process, I actually want to sort of frame the question for you first. And that is that, in this passage, there is reference to a woman, right? And her role. And I know that we6 tend to cite this passage, ad nauseum, to try and tell others, how Guru Nanak has given women equality. So I'm curious. What is your take on this? Is it simply a matter of gender equality that he's talking about? Or is he talking about something even more? Because there is this line that says, Nanak Pande Bahara Eko Sacha Soy. So it seems to me, and I wonder what your thought on this is, that he's essentially saying that even the world would not be possible without a woman. So I see some sort of elevation here that goes beyond just simple gender equality. I wonder what your take is on this.
Well, I think that is certainly, I think that's part of it, but I think that's probably the way I was reading it in context. It's probably not really the core. Like I don't really know if this you know, in context, the whole rest of Asa Ki Vaar is really making just that point. I think it seems to be making more of the point that was connected to the last Pauri and even other parts of this Pauri about purity. You know, about just sort of like the notion of that something, you know, in the physical world has some special quality or purity versus something else,
So you
right?
think that he's talking here more locally related to the idea of sutak in the last party,
Yes.
where we talked about women, being impure during a certain period of the month, and this is just a reference to that.
Right, because I think that's to me, in my mind, that's what connects it to the other discussions. Because otherwise, it seems like it would just make a jump, right? So in the beginning here, he's talking about, um, you know, that everything can be pure about food, but then you consume the food, and suddenly, you know, how it becomes unpure. How does that actually work, right? What suddenly changed? Nothing really changed, I think, is the assumption, right? He's sort of provoking the question, and he's trying to point out that, you know, everything can be pure according to these rules, but then somehow it changes to unpure. So it seemed to me like it was more of a broad commentary on um, physical purity and like the futility of calling one thing pure and something else is not pure, because it all just sort of sounds ridiculous at the end of it. You know, I think he's just pointing out these inconsistencies
Okay.
of the rules.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you got a point because the idea of pollution and purity in Hindu thought is very strong. So I think this is a kind of a reaction against that. So thank you very much. So Chetandeep, are you there, or did he drop off?
He had to go.
Okay. All right. Ripudaman.
हाँ जी the thank you very much for the explanation, Eileen. So actually, my question in a way you posed, um, but I would ask it again in the sense that uh, in this body Panjami, in that body he talks about the woman and Sokyo Manda Akhiye, Jit Jamme Rajan. And but then he goes, as you mentioned, Vijay, that Nanak Pandey Bara Eko Sacha Soi. That so why? What did Guru Nanak Dev Ji mean by actually shifting from the focus on the woman, say, talking about woman and elevating the woman and saying woman is equal or more, like it's saying everything is born of woman. So why call the woman bad or whatever? So then he says that Eko Sacha is Bahara from the woman, right? And not dependent on the woman. What does he really mean by that? Uh, because that echo is anyway, beyond both man and woman, so to speak. There's no gender attributed to it. So, what's the shift all about to that echo Sacha?
Okay, Eileen, you
Well,
it's coming at
I
you
think,
again.
yeah, I mean, my interpretation is that he's shifting it to just the world at large, right? So I'm taking it as kind of like, um, it's sort of, he starts out pointing out these inconsistencies, and then he just sort of elaborates with the idea of women as sort of like almost like he's using it as the example of nature, right? So look around you everywhere, everywhere, there's this physical birth that happens, right? So you can't sort of draw a box around this one thing and say this part is impure or something like that. I think he's saying there is only um, one entity that is removed from that question of what's pure, what's impure, because it's not a part of the physical world, right? So it's not sort of like part of the Maya, I guess, or maybe it's not part of that life and death cycle. I don't really know what the right word is to describe it, but I think he's just making the distinction that that the creator is unique from that experience, and so
Mhm.
I think that's the distinction he's trying to make.
That makes sense. I mean, the creator is obviously exempt from this cycle, this process.
Right. So I
Okay.
think he's saying stop worrying about like what is the woman pure or impure or whatever. Just focus on, leave all that aside and focus on the creator as being the unique one. I think that's kind
Got
of
it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So basically, he's saying that, oh, you who call woman impure, but look, woman in a practical sense is actually greater than man itself, because everything is born of woman and the femininity, right? And then
right.
he's saying, but even that angle is very limiting, because the one that all of us should be focused on is beyond that.
Yeah.
Uh, got it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I would add that, there is a line here where he's talking about all our relationships, which I take to mean society and the world that we live in, is because it is enabled by the presence of a woman. We wouldn't have that if we didn't have a woman. So thank you. Let me go to Gurdeep Singh Birji.
Anji, Sasikal ji.
Sat Sri Akal ji.
Okay, yeah, she explained very well. No, I'm really surprised how much wisdom she used in this, because this is the social pattern all over the world. In other religions, the woman was downtrodden, and now recently people realize that she should have all the rights and all that. Even I'm surprised in Canada, women had no right to vote in 1952. They got the vote to right. Doesn't matter they're Christian or Hindus and all that. And here we need male and female. They're talking about two genders. For all reproductivity in the world, even animals, say, take any creature, they have a male and female. And the God, surprisingly, he's neither male nor female. In our Sikhism, we say, Tu mera mata, tu mera pita, tu mera bandhab, tu mera prata, tu mera rakha. So the only entity of the God is neither male nor female. But for the reproductivity, for the creation of the whole world, we need both the gender. So here he talked about woman, which means gender as a female and the male. Doesn't matter whether men's and the animals and everywhere. So this is wonderful. Actually, I think this brings us to very modern thinking. Even in Sikh culture, they will not accept this Pandeyave Dosti. I don't know. It's different from family to family, man to man. Here we learn here. Friendship is a good, you learn. But in Indian culture, no matter what it is, Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs, to have a friendship with a girl, oh, they will start killing. Go, you people, they have no. It's a very modern things. I'm so much impressed with the Gurbani and the wisdom of the island. She understood completely. I can feel what she has in her mind, even though what she explains it well. So actually here, there could be a revolt if we really read the Gurbani in the modern way. It is really modern and it guides us. So I don't have any other question here. I see.
Okay. I have a follow-up from what you just said, Birji, that God is the only one that is not male or female.
That's true.
And I was curious, what's your thought about transgenders now? I mean, I'm not that up on all of this, but would they be also categorized as neither male nor female? I know this is a bit of a digression, but...
Okay, they have two types. One is male, one is female. Make the study, find to the medical book. There are two types. Yeah.
Okay, so even they are categorized as male and female.
Yes. Look into the encyclopedia. You find the male and the female also. Even though they don't have the instruments to use, but yes, they have equality.
I was just curious. The thought crossed my mind.
They're the genes, in the body genes and all this.
Okay, thank you. Hanji Kulwant Kaur Bhenji.
Hanji, would you like Khalsa or Satyaji?
Hanji.
I think everybody has explained real well these lines about women, and I always think that Guru Nanak Sahib's Bani not only have a spiritual aspect, a religious aspect, he always have a societal aspect too. He was a revolutionary, and he tries to brought revolution in the contemporary society. So at that time, or people might be thinking about women as we have learned in the previous party that they were considering women impure. So he definitely trying to uplift women's position. That's why we should call such person uh, Manda. Why we have to call bad? He has given birth even to things, and definitely he's talking about the lines which we say, Nanak Pande Bahara, Bikhul Sacha. So it means, woman has definitely an important role in creation, even though God is, beyond, he is not comes in birth and death. But women has definitely a role in creation. Without women, the creation is not possible. So he's definitely uplifting women's position. That's what my take is on these lines.
ठीक है जी. So I think, yeah, that was the first thing I asked Eileen, because that I got that sense, and I wondered, but she has a point. I mean, this is following a context from the previous Pauri, but I think
Right.
we are also free to kind of speculate on, and sort of think further along these lines. Thank you, ji. Hanji, Gurjeet Singh Veer ji.
I think he will be in the school right now.
Okay. So we've done a round. I am not sure that I have anything to add. Let me do a round with everybody again and see if they want to intersperse anything else. Hanji Ripudaman Singh ji.
Ravindra, can I ask?
Hanji.
Who was that? Oh, Harvinder. Go ahead.
Hanji, I think if someone can elaborate the last two lines of the body, Manda ma aati or Akhar ego bujiye, Murkhe nanaloji. So like Manda is, I assume, is trying to use a foreign language or something. And so basically, what is this Murkhe? Basically, what is the significance of last two lines in this body?
Okay.
It's for everyone.
Eileen, do you want to take a shot at it?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what I thought, and I'll tell you where I got a little bit confused. I mean, I think that it made sort of another shift, and it was basically, it might have been trying to sort of summarize a lot of the other
Do you think it has something to do
messages.
with labeling people or being judgmental?
Yeah, and so, but I'm trying to think, well, how did we jump to labeling people from this other discussion about the purity and about kind of where to focus and all these rules about what's pure and what's not pure. But then I realized, well, maybe, or I mean, my I guess the meta interpretation is to say that we tend to focus on the self and claiming claiming our righteousness, but the person who's humble about themselves is actually in kind of in a better position, and the person who's just not trying to, I guess, um, just like kind of slander people, is on the right path. And so I thought that maybe that refers back to those notions about about the pure, who's pure and who's not pure, and those behaviors. So that was the best I could make
So
from these
let
lines.
me what you're saying gives me actually it triggered a thought in my mind, because I heard you say this a couple of times, that you felt like, where did this come from, or where did that idea come from, because you were obviously thinking in terms of a certain context, and it sometimes appears like Guru Nanak is jumping from one thing to another. And my question to you is, could it be that we are perhaps imposing a template on this that is more discursive and analytical? Could it be that all of this Bani, after all, is emerging out of a poetic consciousness, right? These are inspired words. I don't think this is just a thought I'm trying to share with you and see what you think. I mean, I doubt that he was thinking there, sitting down and trying to kind of elaborate a point as we would. He was just speaking as it comes to him, as he said, Jaisi mein aave khasam ki bani. Do you think that might be why we feel he's jumping around a little bit?
Yeah, I think probably. I think there's probably a natural desire to see sort of it wrapped up nicely in a bow at the end, and sort of like, where's the summary section or something?
Yeah,
Like I can,
yeah,
I kind of do feel that way as I kind of go through, or at least I'm looking for the threads that connect. And
yeah,
I think that's usually it takes me a while to unpack and unpack and unpack until I finally say, oh, okay, this now I sort of see the thread a little bit better.
yeah,
So, I mean, I was guessing that the thread might be those kinds of classifications of people, and why are we doing that with each other? Why are we engaged in some sort of a purity discussion at all, right?
yeah.
So, like, what does that really do to us? Well, it makes us say, I'm good, or you're bad. It kind of involves us in that discussion, and I think he's maybe trying to say, get out of that discussion entirely.
But I find it fascinating that the insights that we are getting, even the one that you are getting at the end of the day, are insights that are our own, right? I mean, we are reading Bani that was composed over 500 years ago, and yet we are able to take what he's saying and interpreting it within our own frame of mind. I find that
Mm.
quite fascinating. Anji, Gurdeep Singh Veer ji,
Anji, yeah. Interesting. I will go to the Rana Nayat Jagta Kait Garvhandiye. Life is what a dream. We are here for one night only. Gurbani says, Raat karna tan sanchiye bhai, palke chalan hoye. So it's very limited time, very small little time. The life is so fast. So why we have to feel so much proud of it, if of the wealth or anything else, whatever we possess in this life? It's a very short life, so it's better to keep your low profile. And the second line, Manda kisnu akhiye, par akhar eho bujiye, murkhe naal na lujiye. सबते हम बुरे कबीर सबते हम बुरे हम तज पलो सब कोए जिन ऐसा कर पूज्या बीत हमारो सोए. The other ways Gurbani says okay let me read.
Anji.
बंदा जाने आपको बंदा जाने आपको अवर पला संसार. So means to keep a low profile. Why to fight and argument with everybody else on general discussion and all that? Keep the low profile. It's not a very long. We're gonna live here. No need to collect too much wealth here and all that. If we go for one night only, how much stuff we take with us? 2 suits on one pajama, one sleeping suit. Because next day we have to leave. So this is a very good advice actually for our day to day. If we forget about the religious part of it, let's not be fanatic. Let's see, this goes to apply to everybody, not only the Sikhs. And we keep our low profile, we will stay cool, we'll be nice to talk to everybody because we are not going to stay here forever. So
Anji.
many places Gurbani repeats itself. It's not repeats, but it confirms that this is applicable to man, to every human person here. Read it and don't be fanatic. That's it. This is how I can think of this.
Thank you, Ji. That is very insightful, and I think that this message may apply especially to Sikhs in my estimation. But that's just my feeling. Hanji, Kulwankar Penji, do you have any other thoughts on the discussion? We are just doing round 2 here.
Handy. I think Viji explained it really, really well. And as you said, Guru Nanak Sahib wrote this Bani like 500 years back, and now we are talking about it in our own frames. I think that's true, and it's very important, when we talk and discuss. It helps us to dig deeper into our own self, to search our own self. And yeah, I also think we should not be judgmental. There's only one judge who's above us all. And That's all. I think that's what I think about this.
ठीक है.
These
Thank you. Good.
I wanted to go back on the Manda Kisina Akhi and the Murkha analogy. So, a few questions here. Number one is what's the difference between Manda and Murkha? So, it seems to me that Murak is kind of a Manda. So, one line says Manda Kisana Akhi, and the second line says, Murak Nal na Bujhiye, which means like I have to identify a Murak. Basically, if I come across a Murak, like I'm judging somebody and saying, "Oh, yeah, this guy is a Murak," so let me not, get involved with this person. So what does it really then mean? Ki Manda kasi na aakhi, and then the very next time I'm actually judging other people and saying, "Oh, this guy is a Murak."
Eileen, do you want to take the first?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess I hadn't really thought about that judging someone to be a fool as a way to sort of like say, well, you have to judge them first to be a fool in order to avoid the problem. I guess I would say I think it's broadly, I don't know about the exact words and the differentiation if there's some other context there, but broadly I was thinking of this as um, it's a fool's game. I think that was what I was that was the phrase that came into my mind
And I
when
think
I
that is
read
very
it.
apt, Eileen. Could it be that he's pointing to the business of how pundits in those days would wrangle with each other?
Right. So I was thinking of it as the the arguing with a fool as like a thing, like foolish arguing or arguments of fools, rather than finding someone who's a fool and then avoid getting into an argument with that particular person. I think he's just saying don't get into foolish arguments. And maybe
Argumentation
it's
is.
maybe I'm extending too much, but that's how I thought of it.
No, that's insightful because I think that Manda in the first line and Murkhe, there are also demands of poetry here, right? And so there is repetition in different words. But I think I like your assessment that it really means don't get into argumentation that is foolish, rather than calling somebody a fool. Anji, good.
The first line of the body, सबको आंखें
Yes.
आपको जिस
Yes.
माही
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I guess I was understanding it as um, we we like to talk about ourselves, and we like to kind of take pride in ourselves, right? But the people, it's like everyone wants to do that, but the person um, who's not doing that is is kind of like in a class by themselves or something like that. That's the rare person who doesn't fall into that trap, I think, of of um, self, pride.
makes sense.
That's how I understood it.
Sure, I will ask take a round on that. And the Gurdeep uncle,
Hanji, yeah,
first lines of the body, Hanji.
here because everybody feel he possessive, that everything belongs to him, but which is not true. It doesn't belong to him. Nothing belongs to him. When we die, nothing goes with us. That's the only Naam Simran that will go with us. So they are the one who are picked up. Those who think tu tera, tera tujhko saupte kya lage mera. So nothing is mine. मेरा मुझ में कुछ नहीं, जो कुछ है सो तेरा, तेरा तुझको सौंपते क्या लागे मेरा. So the one who is into two, they have been picked up by the grace of the God. He picked them up, not the other one who are very possessive for everything, which they are not right. So this is what I can think of this.
Hanji, thank you, uncle. Hanji ji.
So just to be clear, so your question is, what's the meaning of the first line? Sabko aakhe aapda?
Yes, the first two lines. So what is the main message here? Because the whole body is, I assume, is connected. So what is your take on the first two lines?
So I think so. I like the Professor Sahib Singh's explanation there, where he says that everybody keeps on saying that this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. You know, can you find someone which actually does not say this? That this is not mine. So much involved in the world, and the one who actually says, God is mine, that's how I interpret the first line. And keepita lekha sandhye. So it's basically in this mentality of ownership, whatever deeds you are committing, those shape you, and therefore you are creating your uh, your your future yourself, because you're carving yourself in that image. But those who go beyond this, heavy mera, right, they have gone beyond this. They are shaping a different future for themselves. That's how I'm interpreting the first two lines.
Okay. Thank you जी। हाँ जी कुलवंत कौर भैन जी।
हाँ जी हाँ जी Vijay, I think Vijay explained it really well. I also have Professor Sahib Singh's translation with me. He explained as everybody's talking about me and Mera, and there's no one in this world who just does not, who is above and beyond, Main and Mera, about self. And that's how I take it literally. Not, I don't really have a deeper meaning with that. I literally think that this is what I take off it.
Okay जी। Thank you जी। I think so. We pretty much, I think, covered the Pauri pretty in detail. Uh, uh, Anything, Gurdeep uncle, you want to add on the first shlok? I think we covered the second shlok and the Pauri pretty well. Anything in the first shlok you want to add something on?
Asking me?
Hanji.
Yeah, sure. Gurbani says that other place the explanation of this. I will give you explanation from the Gurbani. Lok Mahalla Pehla Kabud Doomni Kudaya Kasayan Parninda Katachudi Mutti Krodh Chandal Kari Kadi Kya Kare Ja Chare Baithiyan Naal. This is answer to that Pandit ji who created a chonka. He said this is a very clean and posh and pious. Nobody else should come in. He created a line all around this. That's that story written by the Mardana went there to pick up some fire from him. He ran after him. He said, "You spoiled my everything because I have the pious place where I'm cooking my food to eat and all that." And he became furious and he ran after Mardana. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, "No, this is not the purity. Purity is in your mind, Kudaya. You must be a kind-hearted person. You should not be doing backbiting and you should not be a greedy person." Then it's mentioned the answer to all this is there. He said, "What's this use of this creating a line all around? No, everything is polluted. When you eat all this pious stuff, it goes into your body, it gets polluted. There's a lot of dirt inside the body. That's it." So this is the answer of the same thing is also given in Gurbani at many other places. Just to say another place is Navan Chale Tirthi, Man Khote Tan Chor, Ik Paul Lathi Natya, Do Paul Chadiya Sahor, Baro Toti Tumbadi, Andar Visnikor. So it's no use to outer cleaning. You have to clean your inner, and you have to have a wisdom in your mind. That again, as you sow, so shall you reap. Again, I have to come. We have to do a good action, good karma, which will be counted in the next life. I believe in that thoroughly. Yes, there is a judgment day. You will be judged on your actions and all that. So you do good things so that you will be taken up into the higher level. Anyway, thank you very much. This is what I can explain out of it. It's all interesting to me. Everybody did a wonderful, explanation of all this. Thanks.
Hanji. And uncle, why it is referred as a devta, the An, Pani, Bisantar, Loon?
Devta means a pure, the pious thing. The salt is pure, the ghee is pure. But when we eat, when we get mixed up, excreta becomes, when it is, this becomes pure. Papi Chatan Gadia Tukam Pinyatit. Once it come in combination with our body, everything gets spoiled. So those are pure things. We are not pure. So that's why there's only naam, which we have, again, we just can discuss already before, and we may have to discuss again, what's naam. So we had to get back. That's the pure only. Body is not pure. Body gonna stay here. Anyway, thanks. If it's clear a little bit or what?
Anji, thank you, Ji.
Yeah, any other question? I love to have question because that's the way how I learn. If I don't have the answer, I will try to find out next time, and just for myself.
Sure, thank you, Ji. Anji, Kulwant Kaur Panji, anything you want to add on the first shlok? Message for us?
Nahin, Virji. I think Virji explained it really well. I don't have anything to add on this.
Okay, Ji. Ripudamamir Ji, anything on the first shlok?
nahin.
Okay.
I don't think so. I have much to add there either. If you have specific questions, then yeah, we can think about it.
I think the interesting is like we want to. I think like you always say like, so how you can connect the body with the two shloks? Like, is the same message flowing between all three?
I've given up that because I couldn't find answers so many times. I gave up finding those connections.
So, no. I think today. I think it's on the switch and like what really matters to us. So, Eileen, were you able to find any connection between the shloks and the body when you were researching on this thing?
Well, I mean, it's harder. It's a little bit harder for me sometimes because I can't go back to some of the traditional, material because it's in Punjabi. I can't really understand the katha. So I just looked at it myself to think about it. I guess I just thought that the connections that are coming through very strong are the first concept is about the the futility of looking around in our world and trying to find purity. And then the second part is just highlighting the example of women as on the one hand we say women are impure, and then on the other hand we realize that women are life, right? So it's useless to try to segregate some kind of purity or impurity this way. We have to only focus on Nam and only focus on the Creator. And then when I get to the end, I say, okay, the meaning that some of that takeaway there that comes in the shloka is to say, well, this means that it's also futile to look around at other people and say who's good and who's bad, and to argue about it, because that's also futile. That's also part of what's useless, the useless distraction.
Okay.
हाँ जी हरविंदर
Anji, that is that.
हाँ जी थोड़ा सा noisy हो all right I did hear वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह
Good.
अच्छा this is as for my understanding this is again a continuation of Sutak Sabba Sutak Parama hai. He starts with a Pandit who thinks that there is something like a spiritual food which he could make outside, but it's a lack of spiritual wisdom or spiritual intoxication which is causing all the trouble. The fault was within my wisdom when I am reborn here. It's not with some another Eve outside. See, those stories are prevalent that the whole birth or whatever the creation of the world is all due to the Adam Eve stories. But these stories have been rejected when he says, this is the most important line, Jit mukh sada salahiye, bhagan ratti char. Here's the word ratti comes in there. That will be used for wisdom, not a ratta. Char is the four Veds. Four. That this is what the Vedic and difference between non-Vedic system is. This is what the Vedic Mat says, that anyone who is born should be given a respect. Women has been compared to Jit Jamme Rajan, that why is she not given the status? But whereas the Raja himself is misusing. First of all, there were not enough women. If you read Guru Gobind Singh's time, he says, don't interact with Kudi Mars. It means there were people who used to do all this infecticide, whatever, infanticide. So there was a big prevalent problem in this area about this, that people don't like the girls. Secondly, the king himself will keep a harem of how many ladies? Why is he doing it? Because there are already not enough ladies. And then they also say there's another social problem of pand muva pand paliye. The women's remarriage was discouraged, whereas the men will always go. So that's more like a society aspect. To keep society healthy, we should keep the sex ratio 1:1. These things were coming against that one of the main factors that we were not having. But then the Vedic Mat is saying Jit Muksara Salahi. If you want to get your Sutak removed, you have to go through one of the four Veds to know what the reality of human birth is. I'm not born because there was an Adam Eve somewhere outside. There's a Durmat within me. It happens that a lot of places where Guru Nanak says, I think even third verse, Durmat madjo pivte. We all criticize the alcohol for this outer physical body. No one has criticized the Durmat which we all are drinking or intoxicated with. So this is just a pure case of Sutak, in which the women is falsely being blamed for bringing the man down. The man, every individual is responsible for coming down. In Punjabi, there is a saying, they say, Gade to girya, te gussa kamarte. That he didn't know how to sit on the donkey himself, but then he started to blame the owner of the donkey. I'm responsible for all my actions, and if I want to go back into my original state, I have to use one of these four Veds. Jitmukh sada salahi. If I know how to do a constant praise of my mool, my wisdom has to come to align with any of these four Veds. Then what happens? Nanak te mukh ujle. Doesn't matter it's a man or a woman, or even Virji was saying transgender. Anyone who do this, he will find a place in Sachkhand. And then Pauri is sabko aakhe apna. He says, I think what the whole theme is, that you bring a person who says Parmeshwar is not there. All religious people at least accept that there is one universal God, but then kita apo apna, but they don't start believing him. They keep their own thought process in front. And that is the lekha. When we don't obey that theory that Parmeshwar is the supreme, we are getting into a state that every mat has put their own theory, which is putting us down. And that is the lekha which we are carrying. Because most 99% of the things are done through me. I'm not the doer. The doer is someone else. I'm being blamed for it. Yeah, I'm the doer of keeping Pagan Rati Char. So this is Ja Rehna Nahi Hai. Jag is just saying that it's such a small life. Why are you riding? Why your wisdom is accepting Ahankar? Because Ahankar is the one who living forever. If he do it, it's okay. You're here only for very less time. So you must leave this. Manda kise na kiye. If people don't believe in this, that hukam is everything is done through Parmeshwar, you don't need to go and tell them, they won't believe it. At least you believe it, that the whole doer, jabe jaane main kish karta tab log garjoni mein firta, you just stay on that. You can't go and impress everyone there outside in the world. I think that's what the whole theme is. It's basically an extension of Sutak within our wisdom, which Sutak is firstly Pandit is blamed for it. That Pandit is saying it's a spiritual food. He says, if it's a spiritual food, what happens to it if someone vomits and it goes through the other end? No one wants to see that. So that was not a spiritual food. Spiritual food goes into heart, not into your stomach. And secondly, you can't blame the women for that. The human came here because she may somehow, he might be indicating on the biblical story, due to which women has been disregarded in some of the faiths. So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru
Guru Ji ki Fateh. Where did you go?
हाँ जी, thank you Viji. Viji,
Naviji, I think what Gurjeet Virji said, I'll have to think about it. Very nice. Thank you very much.
thank you जी. हाँ जी, Eileen.
Hey, by the way, you remember Dr. Lal? He said, like, what's the takeaway? So if you can ask the takeaway,
Yeah,
that'll be
yeah,
awesome.
I'm going to Eileen for the last and final. And Eileen,
Okay.
so takeaway message for us for today's body and shloks.
Well, again, I think I've covered that part a little bit in a simplistic way, not really as deeply as Gurjeet Virji, but my suggestion for the takeaway is to elevate our thinking away from the these rules of our behaviors in in terms of what's pure and what's not pure, and our thoughts that lead us there. Thoughts about who's doing well and who's not doing well, who's good, who's bad, and to focus on elevating our own self and that connection to the Creator, just through Gurbani and through Nam, I think is the takeaway.
Thank you very much, Eileen. Thanks for the session today, and we will continue with Pauri 20 next week, and hopefully you all can join. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Very good.
Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.